Green.
No. Oh, well, unless it's changed names.
With the big white hotel, isn't that where they do it?
And they have all the lights strung. It's really bright. You drive by. Chitola. Yeah. Isn't that where they?
That was in the center of town.
Oh, okay.
They did some there, but they do some at Chitola.
Okay.
Why was it my number?
What do you
Should have said hello and I'd have said
put it on home? So that's your main residence now, right? It's not just your place.
Right. Full-time.
Okay, that good? Yeah. Good for
Dale.
you guys.
Dale, is the tape on? Yep.
Yes, it's on.
Okay. If I can have your attention, I'm going to call the November 9th, 2021 Town Council meeting, Town of Stokesdale to order. First item on the agenda, Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll stand and join me with me in that. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the invocation, Randy Southard.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you for your willingness to be patient with us, your willingness to guide us, your grace and your love for us. We ask that you would continue to be with the folks in this room who are leading this community, guide and direct them in the decisions they'll make now and in the future. Be with all of us who have special needs. We'll be careful to give you the praise, for it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Review and adopt the agenda. Is there any changes or to the agenda? Then I'll make a motion that we adopt them as presented. Second. We have a motion and a second by Theron. Call a question, Jim?
Aye.
Derek? Aye. Jimmy? Aye. Theron? Aye. And aye. Review and approve the minutes of the August 24th, 2021. That was a closed session meeting, and I think she just passed those out. They're not in your file. I'll make a motion that we approve those as presented. Second. Have a motion and a second. All those, well, I'll call a question. Jim?
Aye.
Derek? Aye. Jimmy? Aye. Darren?
Aye.
And aye. September 9th, closed session. Again, I'll make a motion that we approve them as presented.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Call a question. Jim?
Aye.
Derek? Aye. Jimmy? Aye. And aye. And the last one, the October 21st, 2021 special call meeting. And you do have a copy of those in your file. It's on the second page, I think, of the agenda. No. Third page of the agenda, the minutes. And again, I'll make a motion, we approve those as presented.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Call a question. Jim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
And aye. Next item on the agenda, public safety reports, fire department, Chief Galden.
Good evening, council. For October, we ran a total of 73 calls. Of those, 37 were fire-related calls, 36 were rescue calls, medical in origins, and that includes vehicle accidents and such. So our message for the month is, I had this prepared before Mother Nature decided to send us back into 70-degree temperatures. So just some cold weather tips. And that's just a reminder with the cold weather coming in, if you're using alternative heat, fireplaces, make sure you have your chimneys clean. Make sure your dampers are properly operating. One of the things that some people sometimes miss is either having a screen or something in front of that. And if you don't, put something very thick on the floor so if a log or something were to roll out, you've at least got something that can buy you a few seconds till you can get it out of your house or put water on it or something like that. The same thing for wood stoves. If you're going to use wood stoves, make sure your flues are working right. your chimneys clean. One that I like to hit on every year is kerosene heaters, is alternative heat. By all means, please make sure that you put the right type of fuel in them, because gasoline and kerosene heaters do not mix. That's a bad combination for machine, house, and person. And make sure that you vent with these. Just remember, CO can be a problem if you don't crack a window and properly ventilate those. And with all of them, don't place any combustibles close by, because obviously they're putting off heat, and we don't want any accidental fires. So Mother Nature will get us back to cold weather, I'm sure, but when I prepared this, like I say, we were cold mornings and cold evenings, and now all of a sudden, here we are warm again.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Todd.
Todd, do y'all still have the stew Saturday?
Yes, we do. We have a stew Saturday. Pickup starts at 12 o'clock, and it's first come, first serve.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me.
I won't forget it, bud.
Administrative reports, Dale, and if you will, introduce our new
Will,
clerk.
I'd like to introduce Robin Yount. She's from Reedsville area, and we are very excited to have her. She started yesterday and got her sworn in today as deputy clerk. So we'll be working real closely with her, and I'm excited, and I think she's excited joining us too. So we're excited. The rest of our report, we had 8 meters sold and installed this month. We had 27 applications for transfer of service. Had 44 meters from builders put on hold. We answered 97 811 calls. Had 651 water bills were sent out. 16 new meters ordered to start transferring from manual meter reads from the to automated meter reads. We had 20 work orders prepared. We've been working with TCS on our new computers, and hopefully those will be installed later this week or by Monday. We've had some phone issues this month. We've been working with Spectrum to get some those resolved, as well as created a new office for Robin and moved some phones around. And dealing with Spectrum, that's not been very easy, but we're working on it. Stokesdale Heating and Air, the unit in the lobby has some issues, and they are checking that out to see what's wrong with that. We think the computer board is messed up on it. So you'll be hearing more about that. Christmas parade, we've had quite a few people interested in the Christmas parade already. We've sent some applications out, some sponsorship forms out as well, and we've answered several. The league sends out a water survey. We answered that this month, and been working with the with Diener on your 2020. I'm not going to say this water supply plan. There were a couple issues with that. And, talked with him yesterday, and we've got those explained as well. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any reports from the planning board? Events committee?
Can I ask you a question? Do you know how long we're still under contract with Spectrum for the phones?
We did pull that.
We have another year.
Okay.
I'm counting down the days.
Okay. Well, somebody's aware of that.
Oh, don't worry.
Events committee?
Oh, thanks, John.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so we have the parade. The team is doing a good job planning. Thanks to Randy and Todd for the opportunity to meet with you guys to discuss the logistics of the day. The date is Saturday, December the 11th. The parade itself will start at 2 p.m. This year, we're going to have some vendors, some craft vendors at the Methodist Church. They should get there around noon. We're also going to have some live music downtown playing between the hours of noon and 2 o'clock. We have several food trucks lined up, and then, as in years past, Crossroads Community Church is going to be set up at the fire station serving hot dogs and desserts. If you're interested in joining or adding a float and participating in the parade, we'd love to have you. You can email Stokesdale Town Hall at Stokesdale, or the email address is stokesdale@stokesdale.org. And looking forward to a lot of participants this year. It'll be good to have our traditional parade in the light of not being able to do it last year in COVID. And again, thanks to all that have helped. Thank you to our sponsors. We've had 3 generous sponsors so far. We'll give those guys a shout out at the next meeting, but you guys are pivotal in the town being able to put on the parade. Most certainly help cover the cost of doing so. So thank you to everybody. Hope to see you out on Saturday, the 11th of December. Parade starts at 2, but come join us early. There's going to be some cool events all going on downtown. Thanks a lot.
Property Committee, Jim, you have anything?
Mulch was finally installed. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it coming in since it was dark. I also had him tack down those irrigation lines that were sticking up in the front beds. And they also cleared out a tree that was hanging over the walking path. There was no charge on that, so I didn't need to bring anything to you guys.
Okay. Financial, Kim? Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, we'll start with the general fund first. That's the Bank of Oak Ridge checking. We have $23,212.94. Our total CDRs, $2,557,159.63. Fidelity checking is $574,656.22. Petty cash is $150. Our accounts receivable at this time total is $35,798.74. The month of October, our water reimbursement for the fund, the shared overhead expenses, the total for October was $6,885.82. And of that, also added to that was Gary's salary that, goes all to water, however the general fund pays for that, and that is $525.68 total for Gary. And that is all that I have for the general fund. The water enterprise, we have total CDRs with the Bank of Oak Ridge is $499,339.85. Our checking at Fidelity is $536,514.85. The CRF, we have transferred the capacity fund, the capacity fees, from last fiscal year and to date this fiscal year. Is $122,159.21. The North Carolina Management Fund is $522,500.05. Our regular savings is $45,046.51. Our total in arrears that include inactives for the water enterprise account is $28,840.30. The total arrears for the month of October, which is included in that total arrears, is $22,304.63. I wanted to let everyone know that the audit is pretty much complete. Mr. Rouse has spoke with me several times. I do not know if he has spoken with anyone on council. However, he has spoke with me and said the audit has gone great this year. It has gone much, much better this year than years past. He also expressed, he sent me yesterday, I received the preliminary report to review. I just have to review the preliminary report, go over that, make sure the numbers are correct and look over all of that. And I just have to complete the MD&A report, and as soon as I get that to Rex, which I plan to have by the end of the week, he expects to submit the audit Monday, November the 15th, to the LGC for them to approve. I did ask Mr. Rouse, did he expect to present the audit report in the December 9th meeting? He said yes, as long as the LGC has approved and accepted the audit, which we feel like there's no issue there. But he did say, of course, they are a little behind this year, as everyone else is. But we do expect to have the presentation of the audit for the town, hopefully in the December 9th meeting. And that's all that I have, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Any questions for Kim? Next item on the agenda, citizens' comments from the floor. Anyone that wishes to speak, come to the podium, give your name and address, and we have a 3-minute limit on that. Seeing no one, the next item on the agenda, a public hearing and consideration of a resolution creating the town of Stokesdale Fire Service District. We had our first hearing on this in the September meeting. There was some confusion about who was going to adopt the actual resolution, so it didn't. It was not heard at the October meeting. So tonight we're going to have the second hearing on that, and Jim Albright with the fire marshal in Guilford County is going to make a presentation on that. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening, council. I briefed this council in September on the county's request to consider approval of a service district overlay of the existing Stokesdale Fire Protection District in Guilford County. Most fire districts in Guilford County authorized a service district in 2012. Departments that were founded prior to 1969 were capped at 10 cents per $100 of valuation, and those that were subsequently founded after 1969 were capped at 15 cents. This is not a specific request of the fire department, and in fact, Stokesdale has the third lowest rate in Guilford County. They're also very unique in the fact that they were a 10-cent cap department being founded in 1954. However, that was raised to 15 cents by special referendum in the 2015-2016 timeframe. The other interesting part of that is that even with that approval by the voters, that district has remained at 10 cents since 2013. It is the intent of the county to levy tax into the Rural Fire Protection Service districts beginning in fiscal year 23 and to zero out the fire protection districts. However, they will remain. That's an important consideration, I think, in this particular process. In fiscal year 22, we began the process with the Colfax and Deep River service districts that are only taxed into those service districts and no longer taxed in their rural fire protection districts. A couple other points for you and your consideration is that all funds generated would be used for fire protection within the district in which they are generated, just as is done now. The town is required to approve this particular service district because it overlays the town, and that is specifically required under General Statute 153A. It does not change the way the fire department is approved for their tax rate. It must be approved by the board of the fire department. It has to be approved by their fire commissioners. It has to be submitted to the county for review by budget staff, by the county manager, with final authority resting with the Board of County Commissioners, the exact same process that currently is followed. It can also only have an effective date of July 1 of each year. So part of the timing of this particular concept is that we need to have this authorized so that we can then go through the official approval process at the county and have that in place by the time that we start the budget promulgation process in the early spring. If it was approved tonight, this action would still require the Board of County Commissioners to approve the service district following a 30-day inspection of a report of findings, a public notice, and ultimately a public hearing. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that the council may have or anyone else. Yes, sir.
There.
What are the negatives on this if we don't do it?
So I think the first negative that folks normally will bring is the fact that you lose the cap in a service district relative to where you currently are with your fire district tax. However, the process for approval of the taxation authority remains the same.
That's my understanding that Stokesdale, when they incorporated in 1954, had an initial rate that they could have gone up to 10 cents. But they did not actually reach that point until the year 2013. And then in 2015 or 16, the voters, by an overwhelming majority, 70%, I believe, approved that they could go up to 15 cents, but they have not done so. So there's no reason for people to believe that they're just willy-nilly asking for this so they can double a rate or do anything. I think you said we had the third lowest fire tax in Guilford County.
Yeah, you do, and you are correct although I was not in this role in 1954, to speak to those initial years of taxation. That being said, this district has always been very conservative and managed their money exceptionally well. We do have service districts authorized in every fire protection district in Guilford County with the exception of Stokesdale and Kimesville. Kimesville was in fact, the last fire department that was authorized in Guilford County with a 15-cent cap. They are starting to ease up on that 15-cent cap, and we will be discussing this with their board as well and moving them forward as well. Also, interestingly, I have 19 county fire departments and 2 municipal departments that serve the county, a total of 25 contracts. So 23 of the 25 contracts have service districts authorized.
And some of these departments have been in for, what, 9 years?
So 2012, the lion's share of the departments came in. We authorized 3 additional ones in 2017, but several of the districts have not charged into their service district up till now. They still remain in their fire protection district layer.
Okay, now the last item in this particular resolution, basically, and I'll read that, this agreement shall remain in effect unless modified or terminated by further action of the town council. Now, of the 18 departments or 17 that have adopted this, has anyone opted out over those years?
No,
so there's no reason to believe that there's any nefarious or any reason to think that the taxpayers in any fire district have been hurt or penalized by the adoption of this kind of resolution?
No, sir. And really what it did initially was the fact that it was a very uneven playing field for the early fire departments in the county versus those that came in later. The ability to generate tax within their respective districts had 2 different caps on it. As I say, Stokesdale is exceptionally unique in the fact that you went to a special referendum to have that cap raised, which is, I believe, one of the only cases of that in the state of North Carolina.
Let me ask one more question, if I may.
So there are a couple of positives. One is parcel transfer. Right now, parcel transfers within a fire district require a very, very complicated process for that to occur that begins with the resident that owns the property. It has to go to the fire department boards of the 2 respective fire departments where parcels may be transferred. Then it has to be approved by the fire commissioners of both of those. It has to be publicly noticed, and then that parcel transfer occur. Under a service district, that's done through a public hearing in a much more transparent process.
What do you mean parcel transfer?
So there are times that developments come in where all of a sudden it may have been historically in one particular district, but the way the road network is cut in extends that area beyond 5 miles from that fire station, which immediately makes those parcel owners unrated for fire protection or gives them a Class 9. So we occasionally have to do parcel transfers, particularly in areas where there's been a lot of development. And that's specifically what's happened in the North High Point area where Deep River Fire District, for those of you that remember the Deep River Fire Department, it's been gone now since 2012. But ultimately, we had to do a fair number of parcel transfers between Colfax, Deep River, and the city of High Point.
Is that hard to do?
It's not hard to do, particularly under a service district. It's done by a public hearing and notice of the property owners and et cetera. It is more complicated to do under a fire district layer. Quite frankly, Guilford County has some special session law that allows us a little more autonomy than many places, but this is just a much better way to do it. The other thing that it generates right now, I'll get there. So right now, for the districts that have both a fire protection layer and a service district layer, it is dual listed on their tax statement. So each of those layers is charged individually. I will tell you that I've been in this role for 8 years. We receive more questions about the listing when it goes out and we have a district. So for instance, Summerfield, that has a 10-cent fire protection district layer and a 3.1-cent fire service district layer. Those are 2 separate lines. People believe that they are being taxed twice for fire protection. That's not true. They're being taxed in 2 different layers for protection, and they are charged 13.1 cents. In this method, they would be charged in a single line, fire protection, service district, 13.1 cents. It's much clearer to the property owner.
What do you mean layers of fire protection? Will come to you sometime, and then sometime will come to you all the time? What do you mean layers?
So Again, you can only generate a maximum of 10 cents in many of the fire protection districts in Guilford County. For them to be able to charge the additional money they need to operate their fire department, they also have a service district that overlays perfectly their fire district. It's 2 layers for taxation. It's going to the same fire departments, it's being used for the same purposes, et cetera. This allows that to be a single line listing.
And that's what in this case would be.
Absolutely.
Layers, but you get one tax bill.
So in this case, we simply would take the 10 cents that Stokesdale's charging now in their fire district, and it would be listed as a Stokesdale service district for fire protection.
Mr. Albright, can I ask a question on that point? So let's say that the fire department does want to make an increase. Would that always have to be initiated by the fire department, or could at any time the county make an increase on their own?
These requests always come from the fire districts and then go through an approval process at the county for the tax rate to be set by the commissioners. In my history, I have never known of the county asking for that rate increase.
Mr. Albright, so this is a Guilford County Fire District for Stokesdale. That's what we're talking about?
What we're speaking to tonight is specifically a service district that would overlay the fire district within Guilford, not the portion that also extends into Rockingham.
Okay, and I believe you said that the money collected in that fire district needs to be spent in that fire district. How do we track, or how is this tracked? I mean, these guys have customers in both Guilford County and Rockingham County. How do they segregate the funding that's collected in Guilford County only for Guilford County?
So I can speak to the Guilford County side. Quite frankly, I'll turn that over to Chief Galden. He's responsible for keeping those dollars.
Well, he doesn't have this right now. He's got a Stokesdale Rural Fire District.
But he collects money from the Guilford County Tax Department on the portion located in Guilford County. He collects money from the Rockingham County Tax Department for the portions in Rockingham County. It is really 2 different fire protection districts. It is one insurance-rated district, if that makes any sense to you. That's something else that's evaluated in this. But ultimately, he manages those dollars from each of those respective counties. This would not change that. Nothing that we're doing tonight has any impact on the district that is within Rockingham County. We have no authority for that from Guilford County.
But you're gonna get more money from Guilford County than Rockingham County, so how can we be assured in Rockingham County we're gonna have the same protection? Because you get more money from Guilford County.
So the fire department receives more money from their Guilford County district now, significantly more than their Rockingham County side. They operate it as one department. I don't believe they differentiate their service based on the location within the district.
Mr. Albright, the tax rates are the same in Rockingham County at present, right?
I
They're doing
believe
10
that is
cents, I believe.
correct.
Yes.
Again, I can tell you what the Guilford County rate is. I believe it's the same in Rockingham.
That's what I believe too. But if we have an increase, Rockingham County doesn't do an increase, then they're getting fire protection for 10 cents and we're paying whatever, whatever it may be, because they're under no obligation to raise theirs, nor do I think they would.
That is correct. They are independent boards. And I deal with this with a number of fire districts. So we have a couple of districts on the northern side of Guilford that also are in Rockingham. We have several districts in the southern part of the county that also are located in Randolph County. And I have districts that straddle the Alamance-Guilford line. So this is something that these districts deal with pretty routinely. The other part of that is that they also deal with different reevaluation years and et cetera, so there's always some conversation about maintaining parity of district rates between an area where you cross county lines.
The tax is based on value of property, and the property is going up like mad, so the income's going up. So why this concern that we need more taxes? I don't understand that.
So this is not an approval to increase taxes in a district. It is the mechanism by which the taxes are collected. So the fact that Stokesdale's made no request to increase since 2013 because in part that property values in the northwest part of the county have increased. They've continued to expand operations and et cetera, operating on the same tax rate. There's no indication that this will change that particular philosophy.
I hear that comment of, gee, we're not getting enough money, but it's set off by the value of the property going up and then the amount of tax dollar based on that going up. So
the county doesn't reassess the property annually. I think they're doing one in 2022, and that might be the first one in 5 or 6 years. But
Typically about
to-
every 7 years.
But to your point, I would imagine all of our properties are gonna go up significantly, just given what's going on, in the real estate market. I think it's a good point.
Todd, do you want to add anything? Okay.
Yeah, I still do have my question about how the funding is gonna be tracked and expended, because with this Guilford County overlay, am I speaking correctly in saying that the money needs to be spent, as part of Guilford County and tracked that way? It seems like it would be difficult to track.
So the dollars that are generated are specific to the district, Stokesdale's fire district now. Those dollars are then budgeted to the Stokesdale Fire Department, and those budgeted dollars are then distributed to the fire department on a regular basis, monthly, as they are collected. At the end of the year, if excess dollars are collected, those are remained in fund balance. Those fund balances are then given to that fire district in July of each year. As you realize, most property taxes start being paid in August. Most of them are paid, obviously, by January. So they receive the lion's share of their operating dollars really from August to January. And because we have had some growth, there is typically a little bit of fund balance at the end of each year, or excess taxes collected in addition to budgeted. So the fire departments use that as a bit of their buffer to be able to carry them in the months of July and early August. We have also, quite frankly, I've been in this position long enough to remember 2008, 2009, 2010, when budgeted dollars did not arrive into the fire districts, and therefore those dollars were used for fund balance to then level out those particular budget years.
Derek, let me ask you a question, just to maybe help you out. Stokesdale Fire Department buys a fire truck. They don't have a separate truck for Rockingham County or Guilford County. We have 13 paid employees, so they respond to any fire. So they get the money from both counties, they put it in one big pot, and then they base the expenditures based on that. But every Rockingham County and Guilford County, the folks are paying the same 10 cents.
I understand the one big pot. I'm wondering if now with this new overlay, is it going to be, is there 2 pots that's going to need to be managed by these guys? Because that sounds like an administrative nightmare.
Because we're zeroing out the fire district, the answer is there would be $0 generated in a fire district. It would all be in the service district overlay. It's still one pot.
But in Guilford County, it's one. But there's still going to need to be a different pot from Rockingham County, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
That can't mesh with the Guilford County pot. Or can it? I'm asking the question.
So I think what they're asking, Todd, is ultimately how does the fire department manage dollars that come from 2 different counties and service provision?
I don't think that's.
And that's really an operational issue. I can tell you that we only generate the dollars off the Guilford County side, and that's what we distribute to the district.
So as Jim said, it all goes into one pot, because we don't look at it as us versus them. We're one district. And I'll give you, for instance, you live right here on a farm that part of it's in Guilford County. The Rockingham County line comes through here. Your brother lives right beside of you. You can sit on each other's porch and talk to one another. You would be getting one level of service. He could possibly be getting another level of service, and both of you paying money into the same fire district. Our board and our philosophy has never been that's fair. So therefore, when we do our budget, we take the monies from both counties. They go into, obviously, the pot, is Director Albright explained, and then we budget those out into the line items. Has nothing to do with which county's money or where it's serving. It's serving the fire district.
So that's absolutely, I'm glad you're looking at it that way.
Yeah.
My thoughts are, with this new layer, is it going to be required by your auditors or whoever oversees the funds? Is it going to be required to separate and really track? Because you have this Guilford County layer, and then you're still going to have the Stokesdale Rural Fire Department, which is going to be pulling in from Rockingham County.
No.
So I understand for your operation, it's one pot.
Yeah.
But more for your
No, I don't think so. And we have an independent audit every year. Every 5th year, we have 2 audits, one from the county and one independently. And they've never found an issue with that because they know the funds that come in from two counties. And I don't see where that would be an issue now, especially, and this is just my thought, and Jim may be able to answer past that, but as long as we didn't go over 15 cents, if you were drawing 13 cents from Guilford and 13 from Rockingham, one's not past the other, you're still equal. Does that make any sense? And now it may create some questions, and I don't know from an audit standpoint, if you ever got to where one was paying 12 or 13 and one was paying 10. I think unfortunately, folks look at that point as a fairness issue. The money still got to go into the same pot to be able to pay the folks, to be able to put fuel in the trucks, to buy equipment and to answer calls. I think what you're asking, when you get to a certain point there, are you talking about a fairness issue? Is it fair for one county?
I'm really not. I am really not talking about that. I'm glad that, I don't care who brings in more money. I really don't. It truly is just an accounting question.
Sure.
With the new layer, Guilford County Service District, fire overlay over Stokesdale, is that going to need to be managed differently from your perspective?
No, because we should be getting the same monies, just under a different name.
Okay.
I think a lot of the folks that would possibly be here are concerned about the fairness issue because we're voting on something that's going to have no cap, and Rockingham County has a cap.
Right.
I don't know if Rockingham County is talking about doing away with their cap. So, you guys have done an excellent job. I'm not. If I thought you and Randy was going to be there another 100 years, I probably wouldn't even worry about it. But you ain't. And so somebody's going to come in.
Right.
And, everybody's not thrifty. So that's what we got to look at. And as far as Rockingham County goes, I mean, if we went up 17, 18 cents, and could, possible. And they stayed at 10. Of course, I know property's probably a little bit more valuable right in here. And I know as far as dollar-wise, but as far as percentage-wise, that could easily happen. Right. I believe there's going to be a lot of people concerned. And one issue, I don't think a lot of people know what's going on. They just, I've asked a few people about it, and what are you talking about? I just don't have a clue. And we're sitting here tonight talking about voting to take a cap off that, like I said, if you and Randy were going to be there forever, I wouldn't even worry about it. But it does concern me because I know you're not, and I might not be here with you, but in the town period, who knows what's going to happen. But my grandkids probably will be.
Right.
And I know it's a lot of people's moved into this town because of high taxes from other places. And they've come here, and I hope, and I hear a lot of them that's been paying big money, and, they say, oh, we don't, it's great, we don't have taxes, and they're low. Well, they are, but we start giving people outside, county commissioners, we're just a little fish in a big pond up here in Stokesdale. It's not like that, neighbors like we are making the decisions on this money. Once we give it to you, and or give it to we're not giving it to you, but give it away. I don't know how we're going to get it back. I looked at I've been up for hours and stuff and reading, and in the resolution at the end, like John was talking about, this agreement shall remain in effect unless modified or terminated by further action of the town council. I don't think that there's any action we can take once we do this. It's going to be up to the county commissioners. I see nothing in statute whatsoever that says if something happened and we wanted to get out of this, that we could get out. That's a vote.
That's a vote. Jim address that with you.
Okay. Well, I'm saying this for everybody.
Yeah.
This will be a vote by the county commissioners. They'll have to send notices out to the property owners, and then they have to do a 2-week notice and all that in order to have their hearing. I actually believe that the notices should have been sent out for this hearing, for the property owners to come up here, because we're the firewall for this. But I'm telling you, once we do this, Once we do this, it's over. And unless somebody can show me something in the general statute, Tom, I don't know if you know anything or not, I don't think a vote of council could ever turn this back. So I don't know why that's in there. Unless there's a provision, and I know that maybe nobody's ever tried to do it, but this might be the first time it's ever been tried, sooner or later. I don't know, it may not. But I need some explanation on how that procedure would work. That'd make me feel a whole lot better if I knew that was there. And I've got other questions too. I'm sure other people do too, so I'll yield the floor and let somebody else.
Jim, let me ask you a quick question.
Well, I want to answer on this, what I just asked.
Oh, you said somebody else.
So I don't have the legal expertise to address that. I do know that there is a repeal process under 153A. I think to your point, the answer is correct. It would take an action of the Board of Commissioners. I think there could certainly be emphasis from the town of your desire to have a change made in an appeal, but I believe under the general statute, it rests with the Board of Commissioners.
So the way this petition is written, or this resolution, that statement is just incorrect, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, Tom, am I wrong?
I'd have to look that up and get back to you. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Call me before the meeting next time.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
We're getting Rockingham County money now, correct? We're getting in Guilford County money, or a district within the two. We are limited, I believe, or are we opening in Rockingham to go anywhere as needed? I guess that'd be, Todd, are we in a situation where if Rockingham calls us halfway to Eden, we'll be there?
As far as
mutual aid.
And automatic aid agreements, we do have mutual aid agreements.
Okay.
Most of them don't go to Eden with our neighboring departments, but obviously,
yeah.
If we can help, we'll help.
So I guess the thing I'm trying to figure out is this. We go into Rockingham as part of their fire backup or first use. We come to Guilford and do the same thing in Stokesville. If it's a taxation issue, are we gonna be the only county in Guilford County, the only district in Guilford County that's basically in the long run gonna still be doing it the old way?
So that is a choice of this town council, whether they support this, and then ultimately whether the board authorizes a service district for Stokesdale or not. We still have the ability to charge into the fire district and up to 15 cents because of your special referendum. If you were not to take action on this, that's how we would do the budget for next year for Stokesdale. But you would be at that point the only fire district within Guilford County doing so.
Out of how many again?
So we have 25 contracts, if we count those with municipalities that also do have service districts developed to fund them into the rural areas that they contract for.
What's the downside if I know where we go at this point in time, and I know we're talking about a potential joint venture up here in not too distant future. And I'm trying to understand what would be wrong with what this has to do versus what would be right.
Well, I think the ultimate concern is the issue that right now you have a statutory ceiling on taxation for fire protection in this area. With this particular action, potentially that cap goes away. What I want everyone to understand is that the same backstops exist to stop unbridled taxation for fire protection. Number one, the folks that are elected to the board of the Stokesdale Fire Department have to support any request for increase. They have 3 fire commissioners. Those fire commissioners also must support that request for that particular issue, and then it has to go through a county budgetary process. I can tell you that's fairly extensive for our districts. They get quite a bit of questions with any request for increases that come before the county, and that's before it reaches the Board of Commissioners. So that ultimately is the final backstop on this, is that ultimately taxation rates are set by that board.
Mr. Albright, right now, all the rural fire districts in Guilford County receive a cut of sales tax distribution from Guilford County. Is that a statutory requirement that Guilford County do that and will continue to do that?
So it's a sales tax distribution choice. So ad valorem versus per capita. The choice of Guilford County was distributed in such a way that all taxation districts received a portion of that. Therefore, the fire districts do receive sales tax proceeds. In general, most of our fire districts, that's between 16 and 18% of their budget, and that is distributed off of countywide sales tax.
But, so as long as Guilford County stays at the ad valorem, these fire districts are guaranteed to get that sales tax. That will not go away as long as Guilford County stays at the ad valorem. Is that right?
And as long as sales stay consistent or increasing, and we've had obviously some variability in that over the last couple of years, we certainly are rebounding kind of on the post side of the pandemic. We certainly saw a change in spending habits in the spring of last year, which does impact the fire districts because they are counting on those dollars coming in as well as part of their revenue projection.
Absolutely, but my main question is, as long as we stay in ad valorem, any rural fire district in this county, the Guilford County Board of Commissioners cannot make a decision to say, we're gonna take this money away from these fire districts.
They cannot unless they change the distribution method or the distribution method was changed by the General Assembly.
Okay,
You're
that's
correct.
good.
The fire chief said something a while ago that you have a brother living in one county and another brother in another county. Would be different levels of service, or did I misunderstand?
No, it's the same. Excuse me, I said that's why we don't look at it as
Money from here, money
Stokesdale,
from there.
Rockingham, Stokesdale, Guilford, that's why we count it as one district.
I'm sorry, I
Yes,
misunderstood.
yeah.
And also to be clear, Stokesdale rates as a single district. So even though they really have a fire district in Rockingham and a fire district in Guilford, they rate as one insurance district that is both Guilford and Rockingham. So they're providing equal levels of protection regardless of where the resident chooses to live.
Okay. Any questions? Any more questions? Mr.
Back there has one with the hat on.
I know Oak Ridge and Summerfield, they don't have a water system. Do they get water from our system for their fire department?
That's an operational issue. Chief Galton, I'll let you answer that.
So there has been some question about that, and in emergency operations, we've always helped our neighbors out, and they've always helped us out. I'll tell you, like I tell everybody else, we don't own the water system. It belongs to the town.
Yeah.
And we're grateful that we've got it to use in cases of fire and training and all. And to this point, the town has been gracious enough to not say, look, Summerfield, if somebody's house is burning, you don't come get a tanker load or two tanker loads.
Yeah, I understand that, yes.
They've been very gracious in helping our neighbors out.
Well, I didn't know where we charged them for water.
Not that I know.
In my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let it alone.
Okay. Mr. Richardson, you want to speak? If you will come to the podium.
Mr. Albright, I know you've answered this, but just as a confirmation, with the application of a overlay fire district, there would be no cap.
Yes, sir.
And at this time, Stokesdale Fire District operates under 15-cent cap, so they have a conceivably they could ask for up to 15 cents. What sort of fund balance does Stokesdale have right now?
I'll let the fire district speak to that.
I don't have to have the exact figure. I'm just.
What kind of cash you have on hand?
Yeah.
Well,
We'll give you a ballpark. Is it $1 or $100?
no, it's
$1
probably
million, $1.5 million?
something like that, yes.
$1.5 million?
Something
fire district short of money? Stokesdale Fire District. Are we short of money? Do we not?
So
You
I
need
think,
more money than you got.
so I think the answer is that department has historically been very fiscally shrewd and very fiscally conservative, and they certainly do exceptionally well in our audits. They do maintain a sizable fund balance and do realize, I think people have a bit of a misconception that ultimately the capital expenditures that they make, oftentimes they're able to pay as you go. That is untrue of many of the fire districts that we work with throughout the county, and they simply have to finance their purchases, et cetera. This district historically has been able to pay as you go.
You know, I gotta tell you, I'm a strong supporter of our fire department. They're great. They always have, from the time they were operating out of a pickup almost, they've done great, and they've done great managing money. The point is, they've got a huge surplus. In Rockingham County, I don't know of any fire department that has over 100,000 worth of fund balance. So, you're not telling me you need money. You've got the opportunity to raise fire tax 50%. Why would any citizen, any tax-paying citizen in that situation want to authorize another layer of taxation above what we already have? What about, it's a legitimate question. There may be. I've talked to the fire chief about, new buildings, potential new trucks and things. I totally understand that, and it's nice to write a check rather than, loan money. But I challenge you, you got the money that you need, you got the money to potentially increase it. And by the way, I was heavily involved in getting that 15% for it, as was, Justin, your county commissioner in Guilford. I'm just trying to see the rationale, and I'll tell you quite honestly, I'm trying to protect the taxpayer. That's my job.
Mr. Richardson, may I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I don't know you that well, other than namesake, and I've passed by you a couple of times in the last 20-plus years. Are you still a commissioner in Rockingham County? Okay, all right. What's wrong with keeping the southern side of response equal in Rockingham as the west, or the northern side up here is going along with?
There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, there was a time when we were paying more fire tax a few years ago. It was kind of an accident. Your fire commissioners came to Rockingham, asked for money. We gave it to them.
Mm-hmm.
They went to Guilford and they turned it down. And so there was a period of time. So, now that did get some people excited. When that happens, and you understand.
Well, I do, and I guess from what I understand you saying in the statement you made is that leave this fire district or this fire department as it is and let them burn their money down till they're equal with everybody else in 2 counties. Is that?
No, I'm not saying
Well,
that.
then rephrase what you said.
I know why they want that fund balance. Now, tell the fire department.
Why?
You can tell the rest of the public why they want that.
Please go ahead and say it. I don't know it, honestly.
You have good reason to want to build another fire station, and they're not cheap.
And if we have 400 new homes, what's wrong with that?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Well, then I don't quite understand the purpose of making statements that are just out there. And I understand what your thought process now a little better than I did when you started saying it. But you're in Rockingham, we're down here. If we have 400 new homes, we may need another station, a satellite station with 1 or 2 trucks in it. Be they full-time or be they otherwise, which will not affect Rockingham County whatsoever. So I'm trying to figure out what, if it's not in Rockingham, if it's a Guilford County call, we'll respond. I'm trying to figure out why would you not want the money to be available?
I want a cap left on it so that the taxpayer has some assurance that it'll be reined in, and it won't be something like Mr. Landers was alluding to, that we're giving up the authority to make those decisions and the request for
Mr. Richardson, you and I had about a 50-minute conversation, is it today or yesterday? And you were saying that Rockingham County is projecting a growth of 2,800 homes with the Roy Carroll property in the development of industrial space. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not at liberty to tell you.
Okay. Well, let's just say there's going to be significant growth there. And in Rockingham County, and then I would say there's going to be an equal growth pattern in Guilford County. Our schools are rated better than yours, so people are tend to, okay. The perception of our schools by many people is that ours are superior to yours, whether they are or not. That's you ask 20 people, you get 20 different answers. But my point is, there's going to be significant growth down there. Roy Carroll was talking about 1 million square feet of industrial space. I know Rockingham County's bringing water and sewer in that general area. So if you start looking at 2,000-4,000 houses over the next 5, 6, 7 years, however long the build out is, you're definitely going to need some additional firemen. You're probably going to need a new fire truck or so. The last fire truck we bought, and Todd could answer that, as somewhere in excess of $400,000. It's my understanding you guys are consider Rockingham County multifamily, some maybe high-rise apartments. And I don't know the height a fire truck can go before they need a ladder truck. But it's my understanding a ladder truck is roughly $1 million. So when you start talking about $1,500,000 in reserve, you really, it sounds like a big, significant sum of money. But when you start looking at a truck at anywhere from $400,000 to $1 million, that pales in comparison. We don't want them to.
Fire department stories are expensive. They need to be expensive to do a truck job.
Exactly.
The Eagle ladder truck, by the way, was $1.2 million.
I'm a little confused because all this talk is kind of geared towards Rockingham County, yet what we're voting on is a Guilford County service overlay, and the growth of Rockingham County.
Well, look, not only that, let's just say Rockingham County is growing, Stokesdale's growing.
Right.
Okay, so what happens when the town grows? There's more tax base.
More service.
Yes.
What we're talking about is taking more of the pie. Everybody's got a certain amount of pie, and you're talking about a bigger percentage of it. But there's going to be more pies out there. So there's going to be more money. There's going to be more money because of the growth.
Seems like to me, like I said, that the fire department has been built on the growth. So, the more houses, the more money the fire department gets, and they increase their coverage as they need to. So I think we're getting a little carried away here. I think we're more just talking about the mechanism and the cap, not the immediate need of because like in Rockingham, if they have all that growth and they're going to get a substantial amount of tax money or fire district money from that development up there. So we're not talking about spending money in the bank to service something that that's not going to pay, more or less. So I think to me it's just a mechanism, and we're not doubling our taxes either. We're getting rid of one and replacing it with one basically that just doesn't have a cap. So, the question is, A, do we want to get rid of the cap? And B, do we trust our fire department to spend the money wisely? Or do we want to, and do we have oversight now? And I'll repeat that for anybody that doesn't remember. So now if they came and say, hey, we really need to raise that, does the council or the citizens have any oversight in that?
No, sir.
So they could raise it tomorrow, the 5%, and none of us in this room have anything to do with that. So really, all we're concerned about now is how much they can raise it. I would like to trust that our fire department wouldn't just raise it 10 cents on the dollar just to, or 10 cents on the 100 just to raise it, unless they needed it. And obviously, if we need it that bad, then I'd just soon pay for it. But that's just the way I see it. I just see this as really an issue of the cap and not their wanting to go out here and raise taxes or not change the ability that the council will not be able to stop them if they want to raise it. So, just trying to clear up some of the issues where it seems like we're getting kind of off in left field.
We won't be able to stop them once we do this.
But we won't be able to stop them now.
Well, they can get
to
to 15
5%.
cents.
Yeah.
And they got a right to. They got every right. It was voted for. It was voted for. And they've got every right to get it. If they got it next week, or whenever they, you can do it, they've got a right to do it. And I'll tell you, if Todd and Randy and Sammy on the board, and people like that was always gonna be there, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But I know they're not.
Well, I think history is a fairly good indication of what future performance you could expect. If it took them 59 years to get up to 10 cents, it doesn't sound like they're doing too much wrong. They had the opportunity since 2015 to go to 15, and they haven't done that. So I think they're good stewards with the money, and I don't think they're just nilly-willy going to ask for a significant increase. And again, it has to be approved by the commissioners. If the people think that 15 cents is too much, they can go down and when the commissioners consider the budgets, they can speak in opposition. You can Skip a letter and say, I think Stokesdale has too much money. You cut their budget in half, whatever you want to do. But it still has to go through the exact same process of setting rates as it does now. It's just it puts everybody on equal footing. All 19 departments in Guilford County will be operating the same way.
Can I ask a question to whoever could answer this? Let's say we're at the 15 cent and all of a sudden the fire department decides that, it's got to build a station, it's got an immediate need for whatever reason. How long would it take to get that through the process under the current system to be able to get that cap raised?
So in the fire district, that cap can't be raised beyond 15 cents. So we would be back here having a conversation about a service district overlay, the same conversation we're having today.
But we would, going back to the other way it got raised to 15 cent, we would have to do the referendum, go through the legislators. So that's probably a year process to.
I'm not even sure it could be done under Chapter 69 under Rural Fire Protection Standards as it was done here. Right. The issue here was the discrepancy between the founding age of a department, but 15 cents remains a cap for those that were founded after 69. You would now be fundamentally restructuring Chapter 69, which would require General Assembly action.
Are there any fire departments in Guilford with the service overlay that are over 15 cent?
One district this past year went over 15 cents. All the remainder are 15 cents or less.
How much did they go up, Jim?
2 cents, so they're at 17 cents. And that's in the extreme southern portion of the county with a very small footprint in Guilford and very minimal ability to generate off of a penny. They're able to generate less than $9,000 per penny.
Now, do they also jointly go to calls in Alamance County?
So any of the county departments that border a county routinely go back and forth, and quite frankly, even the next tier of departments oftentimes are called for mutual aid to also assist across county lines. I mean, we have a very robust mutual aid system.
Yeah.
Okay. So does the Guilford College Fire Department still exist? Or?
So the fire district and the service district do. The fire department does not. It is contracted with the city of Greensboro. And it's very unique because you also have the Piedmont Triad Authority as well, Airport Authority. So it's its own independent quasi-governmental entity. So it has some very uniquenesses. You brought up the most difficult fire protection question.
You told me that last time at Colfax.
Well, you brought up both of them, and I appreciate all your work on doing this. But
I do homework.
Guilford College has an overlay that includes the old, what was the airport property as well. And then there's a PTIA service district for the airport property itself, and there's a Guilford College service district for the remainder of that old fire district.
Basically bought them out.
They do. Crash fire rescue is still provided by the authority, but otherwise it's a city response.
Okay. Any more questions with Mr. Albright?
I have one comment on the 1.5 million, and they need a fire truck for 400,000 that would come out with 1.5 million. I think that's the wrong assumption. Last time I looked at the budget, they are accruing money for new fire trucks.
So they have a new truck fund, and they put so much in that each year. So they take that, they had money set aside. They've been talking about a new fire station for 5 or 10 years. They have money set aside in a separate fund for like a acquisition of land or something like that. So
Who would fund a new fire station?
do what?
Who would fund a new fire station?
The fire department itself, all of us.
If we need one way over there, this fire department or district has to.
Within the Stokesdale Fire District, if they want one in Rockingham County, they would have to pay for that. You know, Summerville, they have 3 stations, I believe, and they purchased some land down on 158 near Murphy Road, the possibility of building one at the future. The new I-73 split some of the districts, and it affected response time. So, but yeah, if you build a new station in your district, your fire department pays for it. That's the reason you need a fund balance. Okay, any more questions?
I want to answer Councilman Bigby's question, a legitimate question. How long did it take? The last time we did it, it took less than a month, but the legislature was in session, so they were able to vote on it after Commissioner Conrad and I did our legwork. It was not approved because it went through referendum until Stokesdale had an opportunity for the voters to vote. So the time could vary a lot. It could be very short or very long. It could be up to a year.
And I guess my concern on that is in the meantime, going through the red tape, if you would, you know, we're sitting there with a need that we can't fund. And it sounds like this would give us a little bit more flexibility to fund something in a quicker fashion if we needed to. I'm not saying that we should or should go out here and right now and spend or raise, but if we had something come up, you know, truck got destroyed or a couple, you know, something happened, we would have the ability to raise it if we needed to, or build a, you know, a lot easier, I guess, for lack of better words.
We still had insurance.
Really, it hadn't been a problem in the past because having been associated with fire departments, they depend on borrowed money quite a lot to get their assets, and in all likelihood, they would at that time. I still have the question, Mr. Albright, why would a tax-paying citizen prefer this with no cap in particular over what we have now?
And I'm not making a statement on that specifically. I don't have the answer because I'm not here with any urgency to fund this fire protection district. In 2012, the majority of the districts that authorized service districts were already capped out at 10 cents with no provision for a special referendum. And they simply weren't going to be able to pay their operating costs the next operating year without the ability to generate additional dollars. So therefore, these special service districts were put in place to allow that funding. I think the other part that we probably haven't mentioned enough tonight is the changing complexity of what those fire departments look like, and the fact that predominantly these were volunteer fire departments with a paid supplement that have now changed to paid fire departments with a volunteer supplement. Y'all have been very fortunate in this part of the county to remain with some very, very dedicated volunteers. But many of those volunteers are at the point of either aging out or stopping their fire department participation. And I believe Chief Galden told me recently that this was the first year in the history of the fire district that they rostered more paid members than they did volunteer. That is something that we have seen at a much more alarming rate in other parts of the county. It adds significantly to the operating cost of these fire departments. And if you want to maintain the fire protection that you have become accustomed to, it is going to cost more. I am not here with urgency to get this because y'all did do the work to get a 5-cent increase above a 10-cent cap. Had they been at a 10-cent cap and that special referendum had not occurred, we are at the point that that urgency could be coming forward in the next year or two. So, you know, the answer is it's an issue of whether you are comfortable with the ability to have a special service district without cap, or if you want to maintain a fire protection district that is capped at 15 cents.
Okay. Mr. Burkhead, we'll close with you.
I just got a comment. I think Chief Galvin and the crew down there do an excellent job around here. would go with whatever he says. As far as, if he needs money, I'm sure he'll get money. But I don't go along with the idea of opening my wallet to let them people over there know what I got in it and get what they want. I think they ought to keep it that, because he needs it.
Mr. Braswell?
In the public hearing, as I hate to get up here and yak, I need to. There's a lot of folks here that weren't here when the first, there are a lot of folks in this room that weren't here the first time that the Service Overlay District was presented to the town council. It got voted down 3-2. And I studied it hard. I called people, I went and saw people, and I was kind of proud of the work that the town of Stokesdale accomplished through all this, because the efforts of several people got the general statute changed so that they didn't have to go get the 35% petition, okay? It broke that barrier down so that the citizens could vote. And that's what this general statute says, this first whereas. If you'll go look it up, this chapter 69, it tells how to operate this. You have to let the citizens vote to increase that cap. Well, I was proud of that. Instead of maybe being looked at as a sore thumb at Stokesdale, that this is a city on the hill. The rest of these municipalities all over the state of North Carolina, had they followed the law, what the general statute says is the people must vote to increase this cap. There's not a person in this room that can dispute that. So we broke that barrier down. We got it on the ballot without the 35%, okay? All these guys in the room worked on that. And that's how that happened. We did the right thing. Pat McCrory, governor of North Carolina, says, how do y'all do that? I said, we're just trying to follow the rules that are in the books already. So if, I'm like Councilman Landreth, if you go in here, all of a sudden 3 people can change. You're going to circumvent the intent of the general statute. The general statute says that the citizens will vote to increase this cap, not 3 people, okay? And especially if you vote for something that does not have a cap. The first time the service district was brought to us, and I think Northwest Observer can confirm this, there was a 15-cent cap on this overlay. And now it's that 15 cent has been gone. So I was telling the local guys, I said, listen, if we can get that nickel, okay, that's 15 cents. And then somewhere down the road, you know, I mean, they lived for over 50 years with 10 cents. They're still at 10 cents. They have a nickel. Mr. Rigsby, the way this place is growing, hey, they've got the revenue. Just like the commissioner said, it's there. They got the cash, and they got the potential for more revenue. Now, I know you guys have probably worked hard on this, but I'm telling you, I'm proud to be a part of Stokesdale where we followed the law. I said, guys, I cannot vote for this service overlay because the law says that the citizens must vote. And that's what we did. And every person in this town right here, and those citizens that were in Rockingham County, they appreciated that. I heard a gentleman here say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how come Stokesdale has survived without a tax for all these years, is because of good, common sense, hard-working folk. Now, I understood it back then that times had changed and there weren't volunteers. They were having to hire, okay? Absolutely. They could see that 10 cent. I sat in a meeting here with Alan Perdue, and he said, hey, he listed off the fire stations that were at 10 cent. I mean, no more volunteers. They were going to go under. So, yeah, they didn't have time. Our guys were so conservative that I think they were like 8.5 cents at that time. So we had time bought, okay, where we got it on the ballot and it passed. Now, it was a hard sell. I told Todd and Randy, I said, I can't sell 15 cents, but I can go sell a nickel. Because other fire departments, after Stokesdale was created, they were created with 15 cents. Look at Summerfield, 13.1. They got 4 fire stations.
Oak Ridge, they're at 9.9775. They got 2 fire stations. We're at 10 cent, we got 1. So, I mean, I'm like Commissioner Richardson. You guys have to speak for the whole town now. What does this town want? And that's the reason that general statute was so successful for all those years, Mr. Mayor, is because the citizens had to vote. Let them vote. I'm looking right here. It's going to modernize. I tell you what, I'm proud of these guys. Man, we got a kick fire department. These guys are unbelievable. The equipment that they have, the training that they have, they still have a nickel. Can you imagine what the next generation of these guys will do? Hey, I'm proud to stand up here and say Stokesdale did the right thing. If Mr. Albright said we were the only ones in the state that did the right thing, that ought to be on the front page of every newspaper in the United States. We did the right thing. Do the right thing, Mr. Mayor. Let the people decide.
Okay. And I want to say one more thing, John. I said this a little while ago. I don't know if anybody caught it, but the county commissioners, if this goes before the county commissioners, they have to mail out to the property owners. Every property owner in Stokesdale. Is that correct, Mr. Albright?
I believe that under 153A, which is where the service districts are created, it's done by public notice.
Okay, well, there was something in there, I thought it said that they had to mail it out, and I was thinking, that's where we should be in the process, is all the property owners in Stokesdale coming to us, because, you know, we're the security here, you know, for the taxpayer. And it's a big difference when the people come down here to us directly than they go to the county commissioners, as we know with our sales tax distribution. So that's pretty much. Go ahead.
That's pretty much, I would have felt more comfortable if there had been notices sent out to all the taxpayers, saying the pros and the cons, and, you know, where we could have got more input, you know, from them. I mean, it's like Mr. Burkhead has said, you know, and I feel the same way. I think we got the best fire department around, and if they need funding, you know, I don't see a problem with it, but I still want to see limits and caps, you know, where it does go through a process, because, like I said, they're not always going to be here, and everybody is not as conservative or thrifty or whatever word it is you want to use, and so I mean that's just the way I see it. If we had sent those notices out, and people don't know about it. I've talked to. I've just asked the question, you know, to folks, and they don't know. They don't have a clue what we're doing.
Question for Dale. We advertise this just like any other public hearing, any other zoning case, both September and this meeting.
It was advertised once last Wednesday. Resolution was advertised.
And that's
Last Wednesday?
Yes, it was last Wednesday.
And you think that's sufficient time? I'm not talking to you.
Zoning cases are advertised twice, but this was only advertised.
okay. I'm going to close the public portion of this hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I have a statement from a citizen.
Okay,
Needs to be read.
I'll let you read that.
This is from Mr. Tim Jones. I support adequate funding for the Stokesdale Fire Department. I sincerely appreciate every volunteer and professional firefighter and the job they do. The fire department is a critical service that the citizens of Stokesdale both want and need. However, the proposed Stokesdale Fire Service District appears to be an uncapped second fire tax at a time when the current fire district tax has 50% remaining on it before the legislative limit of 15 cents per $100 is reached. In addition, increases in funding to the Stokesdale Fire Department are currently realized every time another structure is built in Stokesdale and whenever the Guilford County Tax Department performs a reassessment. From a business and administrative perspective, I do not think sufficient facts have been presented to the town of Stokesdale and its citizens at the time to justify the town council voting for a second fire district tax. The resolution before the town council is flawed in that it does not include the portion of the Stokesdale Fire District located in Rockingham County. It has been introduced during an election cycle and is being considered at the beginning of the holiday season. Because of these circumstances, I don't think the citizens have had ample time to consider all the aspects of this proposed additional fire district tax. I am requesting that Stokesdale Town Council continue this agenda item till such time as all the questions have arisen can be conclusively answered. Respectfully, Tim Jones.
Okay, now I'm going to close the public section of the hearing. Mr. Madeline, should I read the resolution in its entirety?
I do believe, yes, that you should, and then that way it's in the record, and then you can.
Okay.
Or not.
I'm going to do that. Resolution of agreement regarding Stokesdale Fire Service District. Whereas the Stokesdale Fire Protection District, the Stokesdale FPD, is a special tax district established November 9th, 1954, pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes, Chapter 69, Article 3A, to fund the provision of fire protection to properties within the RFPD. Whereas the Stokesdale Fire Department is comprised only and entirely of properties now within the municipal limits of the town of Stokesdale. Whereas North Carolina General Statute, Chapter 153A, Article 16, Part 1, County Service Districts, authorize counties to define service districts to finance, provide, or maintain certain services, facilities, and functions, including fire protection, for the service district in addition to or to a greater extent than provided for the county as a whole. Whereas pursuant to that authority, Guilford County, the county, has established fire service districts, typically overlaying existing rural fire protection districts for all portions of Guilford County, for which county, rather than a municipality, provides fire protection, except for the Camsville and the town of Stokesdale, to create a more modern, flexible, and efficient method to fund and provide fire protection in Guilford County. Whereas county proposes to create a Stokesdale Fire Service District, Stokesdale FSD, overlaying the Stokesdale FPD and matching the boundaries of the town pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Chapter 153A, Article 16, Part 1. Whereas creating a Stokesdale FSD Fire Service District requires following the process set out in North Carolina General Statutes 153A 302, included a public hearing before county's Board of Commissioners. Whereas under North Carolina General Statute 153A 302A, territory lying within the corporate limits of a city may not be included unless the city agrees by resolution to such inclusion. And whereas the Stokesdale Town Council finds that the creation of the Stokesdale Fire Service District is in the best interest of the town and its citizens, and therefore supports the creation of the Stokesdale Fire Service District, and including within it territory lying within the town's corporate limits. Now, therefore, the Stokesdale Council resolves that, 1, pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 153A, 302A, the Town Council agrees to the inclusion of the territory lying within and constituting the town of Stokesdale, as it may be compromised at the time of the creation of the Stokesdale Fire Service District and the Stokesdale Fire Service District. 2, this agreement shall remain in effect unless modified or terminated by further actions of the Town Council. Adopted this the whatever day of November 2021. And with that, to get it under discussion, I make a motion that we adopt the resolution of agreement regarding Stokesdale Fire Service District. Do I have a second so we can get it under discussion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
So reading, John, so reading the resolution, why do you think it'll make a more modern, flexible, and efficient method to fund and provide the fire protection?
because any request for a change in rate, whether increase or decrease a rate, is going to go to the county commissioners. I know as a member of the board that they do on an annual basis a very detailed budget. And they'll look at last year's performance, last year's expenditures, actual versus budget. I think this just takes out the possibility of having to go back if we ever need to go to the above 15 cents. But I think I just look at the fact that since from 54 to 2013, it took them, what's that, 46, 60.
A long time.
60-some years to get to the 10 cents. And they've had the provision from 2015 to do it, and they haven't done that. I trust the firemen. You got to trust somebody. I believe the Guilford County commissioners are going to be responsible to the property owners in every fire district in Guilford County. I think they're going to require them to show need. They're going to make them have the financial resources to pay for it, or they're going to, as some departments are leasing fire trucks and things like that. I would hope that we are in a situation where they will continue to be good stewards with the money. I think they anticipate the growth. They understand the significant number of rezoning requests we've had in the town of Stokesdale. And so they are looking at areas of growth. If you remember, 5 years ago, we had an insurance fire rating and we dropped down to a 3. And we were only a couple points from being a 2. That saved everyone about 50% on their insurance rating. So I think the Stokesville Fire District has a tremendous reputation of looking after the citizens. We want to make sure the fire district has the money, and that's a responsibility of the commissioners, not this board. We're not going to approve their budget or their rate increases. Guilford County will, just like they do now. But we want to make sure that they've got the equipment. We want to make sure they've got the manpower and everything to provide the best service they possibly can for Stokesdale and every citizen in the county. I just have complete confidence in the fire department. I think the history speaks well of what they've done, and I'll be honest, I just support this.
I agree with the things you said, but how does that, modern, flexible, efficient? I mean, that was the question.
Jimmy, when back in the 50s or early 60s, and Todd or Randy, they were around, we had some fire trucks that weren't safe to drive. They didn't have the brakes. They couldn't stop the thing.
That was back in the 50s or 60s.
Exactly. But we've had fire trucks that were 20 years old. Now, I don't know what the useful life is, but there's significantly better technology. The jaws of life, and I don't know what, I think they're 100, fairly expensive night goggle vision, those kinds of things. When they're going in a house at night to look for kids that could be in a fire, when you have a reduction in the number of volunteers, to where you have to have a minimum number of firemen, and you got to have those 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not like we can hire somebody 9 to 5 or say, well, we're going to have a fire on Friday night. We're having about 900 calls in the fire district right now. Now, they're not fire, but they're EMS, they're everything else. I just think they are staying abreast of modern technology. I think,
Nobody's arguing any of those points you're saying.
Well, that's why you asked what...
I know, but I'm just saying, what is this going to do? They've got money. They've got a budget where they're going to increase the money they're bringing in because of the reevaluation plus all the houses that's coming in. They've got 50%, they can go up 50% right now.
Well-
It's not like they can't get the money. And, you know, and we have come here and we're having a public hearing that we advertised a week ago, and we're gonna take a cap. I mean, if we had sent out to all the property owners who are gonna be affected, which is everybody that's got any property, and they had an opportunity to have their say, but we're gonna do this tonight, and these people don't have a clue. I mean, they don't have a clue, and I know they're gonna say, that they're gonna agree with everything it said. Nobody's gonna say anything bad, because there's nothing to say bad about the fire department, how they run it. They've done it excellent, just like the town, we're tax-free. I've said many a time that we are a model community. Other communities should look toward what we have done and what we do. And it seems like every time we turn around, we're trying to be like another district or another town. And I would want them to have the funding, what they need. They need night vision or something like that, but the money's there right now. And they've got 50%. We've got houses out the yin-yang getting built. It's gonna be more tax money. There's gonna be more coming in. I don't have a clue how much they get or what their budget is or anything. And I'm uncomfortable giving a week's notice to the citizens of Stokesdale and voting on this. Now, if we did this and everybody come running down here and said, hey, you know, it'd make me feel a lot more at ease, because I am not against these guys. I can't ever say enough good stuff. They're gonna show up. So I don't want it to be put that somebody's against the fire department because they don't agree with doing this resolution. And another thing, at the end of this thing, I don't know why that's stuck in there. This agreement shall remain in effect till modified or terminated by further action of the town council. That's just false. I mean, who wrote this? That's just not a true statement. There's nowhere in statute. I've been all over it. I can't find it. I'm not an attorney. I'm not trying to be one, but I tried to find how that could be, and it has to go through the county commissioners. And like I said, we're the small fish in the big pond in Guilford County. So, you know, everybody do what you should do, but I mean, at least.
But the process could.
At least if we had notified all our citizens. I mean, that's what Guilford County's gonna do, but that's a big difference with the citizens going to Guilford County and saying something. If they decided, if it was enough that didn't wanna do it or whatever, but then it would be to us. Because we're the firewall for the tax-paying citizens. And that's pretty much what I want to say, but I can't, I am not against the fire department, Lord of mercy. I might need them tonight, going home. So that's just how I feel.
Okay. Any other comments?
No.
I call the question. Mr. Reeves?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, about eligibility to vote.
I've clarified that with the town attorney. I do not have to recuse myself because this is an action that's.
Can I hear this rationale from the county attorney or the town attorney?
What's your point of order? Would you stand up to the microphone and make yourself known, please? Thank you.
My point of order is if you sit on the board of the fire department and now voting for funds, in essence, for the fire department, does that not create a conflict of interest?
Thank you. No, this is not a resolution for funds. This is not a tax. This is not a personal gain by anybody who sits on the board. I think as was previously described, this is simply a mechanism for how revenues could be generated. So no, I don't see that as a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Proceed.
With that, I'll call the question. Mr. Rigsby?
No.
Derek?
I'm gonna go no as well.
Jimmy?
I'm no.
Larry? And I. Unfortunately, it fails 3-2. Next item on the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Albright. Rezoning case 2109, STPL 8259. Let's take a 5-minute break.
Have you read of his resigning? Fire District.
Who's winning?
Yeah, rural fire district.
I didn't see it. I swear I haven't seen it.
Loyola's winning?
Yeah.
No.
And we don't have much, so,
21.
yeah.
This kid, I don't even know who he is.
I might fall on my face.
I think he's a graduate transfer. It's all new. A new coach, new team.
Different kind of hard. Miss y'all too.
Well, yeah, they're probably, I'll tell you, they do a good job. They're a great fire department. I said, they do a great job, and they have been thrifty and everything. But I'm uncomfortable. If we had to send out to the property owners and all that and come in here, I might have been a different way, but
Well,
you
the
know.
citizens don't understand
Yeah.
the situation. And if they did, they knew the money was going to a corporation. Freaking high rate.
Yeah,
I moved here, and places I've been, the Navy, I've never heard of the fire department being a corporation.
Yeah.
Or the county, or the city.
Yeah, they do. But I'm gonna tell you something, they do a reasonable job.
County fire department. We'll buy, go to the fire truck company, we'll buy 50 trucks this year. We're gonna get a better price from old Stokesdale. Who the hell here is gonna draft the specification, much less have training and purchasing?
Yeah.
And that's what, that fire station's 6 inches below the ground. You know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's why they had to put that little drain up.
If you need me, I thought you might.
Oh, great, okay, here. Appreciate you coming out. Well, I'm not the most articulate fellow around, I try to get my points out.
You didn't know the fire station was 6 inches below the grade.
No,
Why did they just put the damn stuff on there?
Don't have a clue.
They said the brick was leaking. Well, put some damn sealer on it. Who contracted for the building?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Keith Golden on that one. I was just trying to protect the taxpayers.
Taxpayers had to add to it. And then if they want to do it, fine.
Like I said, if we had advertised that, all the
And then there's a board of adjustment.
well, we could, the county would.
You had to have a bigger room.
Well, the county, this wasn't, most people would just care because the county, there's only one, there's a fish on their bridges.
I didn't see that.
Like I said, if they sent out
Surprise me. What do you do?
well, I used to sell cars. I used to have a little car room.
Show it in a special revenue fund. Whereas it's not a flipping around.
I've talked to people.
Yes.
I still used to tell me about it. And I guarantee you, if you, I guarantee you this, if you,
Yeah, they are.